Hello, my friends, and welcome to another podcast episode. Thank you so much for joining me within this space. Today, I want to share with you a recording of a conversation I had with Isabelle Griffith about our upcoming 4-day in-person retreat happening in November 2024. This retreat is called Reconnect with Your Embodied Feminine Wisdom. And it is an intimate retreat for women practitioners where we will come together with a shared intention to forge deep connections, authentic relationships, and to learn and explore in a co-creative and feminine way. If you don't know Isabelle Griffith, she is a friend and a colleague and a trauma-informed somatic coach and trainer, an embodied feminine leadership coach and educator. She's also a founder of the School of Somatic Leadership for Women. And I've had a pleasure of working and collaborating with Isabelle over the last 4.5 years. And so in this conversation, we explore and share with you the inspiration behind us coming together and holding this intimate retreat. We also discuss who it is for, and what you can expect. And in addition, as part of the description of this podcast, you can click on the link to take you to all the information on my website, where you can also download the lovely flyer that we created for you with all the information. I hope you will find this conversation interesting and helpful. And if what we talk about resonates, reach out to me and come and join us for this deeply transformational, compassionate, feminine, and inspiring retreat. So welcome to this retreats page. I'd like to welcome you here. My name is Aneta Itzchak, and I am joined by Isabelle Griffith. Hello, Isabelle.
Hi, Aneta.
So we are co-hosting a retreat, and I'm guessing that you are interested in finding out more about this retreat because you landed on this page. And we wanted to take a little bit of time to just talk about our inspiration behind creating this retreat, who is it for, and a little bit about what to expect from it. So this is a really exciting project for both me and Isabelle. And, yesterday we spent time driving to Cotswolds to actually look at the venue and make sure that the venue is good and that, the surroundings are really lovely. So we spent the whole day, haven't we, Isabelle?
Yeah.
And the whole day driving there and driving back and looking around and taking photos and really kind of, feeling the venue out and thinking about the kind of feeling and the experience that we want to offer and create.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I think that's really important. The retreat that we are talking about here is reconnecting with our embodied feminine wisdom. And I think the retreat itself and the feel and the sort of atmosphere and mood we want to create around that has to reflect that embodied feminine wisdom. And so for us, I think, I speak on behalf of both of us, it was really important to go to the retreat and get a feel for the space and to envision for ourselves how we can create within that space a place that's really conducive for the women who will join us to think into their own embodied feminine wisdom and be held in a space that feels safe, that's in nature, and that is both, giving us time and space to be in community with each other, but also giving us time and space to be alone and to have spaciousness around the experience. So yeah, I think it was really important for us to go and feel it and experience it for ourselves. Yeah.
I think it's, this is something that we talked a lot about, haven't we? That, what is that essence, the essence of our work? We both deliver trainings. What is the and work with women, and have been working with women for many years. So what is the essence? What would we like to create in a sense of the kind of experience and the learning and the growth and the transformation and the healing? And I think it's quite a challenging thing to create something that really brings in balance the learning, because this retreat is for practitioners who work with women and want to work in a more trauma-informed and somatic approach. So bringing the learning around the practices and at the same time allowing for that inner work and the inner transformation and the connection with others in an in-person setting where, we want to create that community, we want to work together, learn together, and at the same time doing little things that really create the community of women, like preparing meals together, simple meals, that where we all can contribute to it. And we were talking about this, haven't we, Isabelle, that, this is what women have been doing for thousands of years. It's the women coming together, making fire, cooking food, creating a very rich and nourishing environment, being together, sharing stories, and that sense of, being seen and being witnessed and being held by other women in a very compassionate and kind and non-judgmental environment.
Yes, absolutely. And I think when we first talked about the retreat, there was something quite unique that we wanted to create. So we've both experienced retreats that are relaxation, restoration retreats, and I co-host some of those as well. That's beautiful and wonderful. And then we also experience business retreats that are very much about the business. But what we wanted to create is a place that recognizes the humanity and the human and the women behind the business or the professional, and really recognize that we need to address both, that we need to be able to have spaces where we come together and we create spaciousness to envision, and we tap into our visionary as women, and really that embodied feminine wisdom that can guide us along the way. But also recognize that without the human within us being on board, without nervous system regulation, without somatic practices, without community, the human who then has to take the vision and bring it to life might stumble upon challenges, sabotage, hold themselves back. And so we wanted to create quite a maybe integrative, holistic, and feminine approach to business, recognizing that when we tap into our feminine wisdom, we can really create a vision that's truthful to who we are, what we want to create, and our values, and comes from desire rather than should, because somebody else is doing it that way. So really something that's unique to ourselves, but also work on, as you said, doing the inner work of, who do I need to become to bring that vision to life? What inner work do I need to do? Who's this person that I will, over time sort of evolve into, that I need to connect to every day, so that I can bring this to life from a nervous system that's regulated from a place of wholeness, and from a place of capacity. So I think, I don't know if there's anything else I'm forgetting, but for me, it's really this, the bringing this together. We can talk about business, we can go on restoration and replenishing retreats. This is different. And it's really coming from a deep embodied wisdom place.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. It's this really bringing together the feminine and the masculine, isn't it? Yeah. It's and this is how we wanted to structure this training. It's like we start with the inner work, we start with the somatic practices, we start with learning and growing and healing that comes from it. And then really taking it into, later in the retreat, like how do you now bring it into the world? And, when I hear you talk, Isabelle, it's like it's like, this is for me what's the challenge about so many places. Like, yes, you can go and rest. Yes, you can have this day of spaciousness. And yes, you can have, and I have experienced it myself. It's, this sense of resting and suddenly understanding what your needs are. But then you come back and the busyness of daily life can really sweep you over. So you had all those insights and embodied insights, and yet it's difficult to integrate it because you haven't worked out this last piece of, okay, now how do I integrate it? What's my plan? How is it going to work with this new understanding of my needs, this new understanding how I love working with others? How can I then, what is this masculine energy of taking action?
Yes.
There is the identity piece, there is the thoughts, the feelings, the energy, who I need to become. And then there is, okay, now what's the action that I need to take? What's the next step of moving it forward? And I think the combination of the two is really, really powerful. It's very much about embodiment. I mean, this is where real change happens. It's like you can have insights, but unless you integrate them and really know how to then bring it in, that sustainable change doesn't happen.
Yeah, absolutely. And maybe to add a little bit to that, because you talked about the community feeling we wanted to create to begin with, and we've both experienced personally holding these spaces, but also receiving these spaces, how transformative and almost magical being with other like-minded women can be, and be truly, seen and acknowledged and witnessed compassionately, but also empowered. It's if it's not something you've experienced, I think it's something that, as women, I don't want to use the word should, but it's an invitation to come back to that place where we are coming together and working from a place of community as opposed to aloneness, which as practitioners, sometimes it feels like we're alone in our challenges, we just can't quite move forward. And having the feeling of being held in a community that's cheering us on and empowering us compassionately is really powerful and beautiful. So that was an important element for us as well when we thought about the creation of the retreat, having that, women sort of gathering piece as well. Yeah,
I love that. There are a couple of other things that, I think are worth mentioning. It's, the intense, the retreat experience can be intense sometimes because it's like you are with other women, and obviously you can go for walks, you can spend some time on your own. And we have incorporated that in, that we're not going to be just, together doing stuff all the time. As I am quite introverted, I need that space to actually then go off and actually think and allow it to land. So we definitely put that in place there. But we also put something else in place as part of this retreat, which is the follow-up session with both me and you, Isabelle, to actually come together, a little bit later and check in with each other. So how has it been? How has it been? How is your plan going? How did you integrate it? Maybe there is some kind of resistance that is unacknowledged yet. And one of the some of the practices that we will be using are deeply, deeply transformative. Well, all of them are, but some are really, really, touch the core of us, our, innermost soft being within us. And these are the practices of embodied listening, of really listening within, listening to felt senses, listening to different parts, and allowing ourselves to be with our experience and build those inner relationships without judgment, without trying to fix it, without trying to do anything with it, without making it better, without pretending, really creating more harmony, more cohesion, more alignment through those practices, where there isn't, we move away from that cognitive dissonance. We say we want one thing and then we do something else, to actually listening. Okay, maybe I'm doing this, but what's really underneath that? Can I listen to that? Can I really listen to what's needed, what's wanted, what's not wanted? And how can I move forward? First of all, be with it before I start moving forward with it. And I think that's a skill that we haven't been taught at school. And it's so deeply transformative, and it's so compassionate and so loving. And it's an essence of really loving ourselves. And it changes everything. It changes your relationship with yourself, your relationship with others, your relationship with life altogether. And there is one other thing, and I'd like you, maybe Isabelle, to talk about this, because I know you love that, and it's an essence of your work, which is the heroine's journey, and how that fits in, and how we're going to work with it in the retreat.
Just having this conversation makes me realize how rich this is going to be, which obviously we knew when we planned it, but as we talk about it, I'm thinking, I want to come on this retreat. Yes, I think so. Some of you might know the heroine's journey. It might be something that you've come across, but perhaps more likely you'll have come across the hero's journey. And it's quite interesting, actually, because the hero's journey, which was created by Joseph Campbell, doesn't really take into account the fact that women also have a journey to go through. And Maureen Murdoch is the one who coined this idea of the heroine's journey, because she saw that something was missing for women. And interestingly, when she challenged Joseph Campbell, the story goes that he said, well, women don't have such a journey, which is heartbreaking, truly. And so the heroine's journey, to keep it really simple and light here, is really the journey, transformative and transformational journeys that we go through as women. Our life as a whole might be a heroine's journey, but we also have smaller heroine's journey and transformational journeys that we go through all our lives, different seasons and cycles. And this is really, at its core, the journey of women in particularly Western society reuniting with the feminine energy within us. So again, to keep it quite brief, for a lot of us, and notice as I'm saying that, if that resonates with you, we have over time learned to really be in a masculine energy. And there's nothing wrong with that in and of itself. But what it often means is that we've learned really well to be doing, thinking, strategizing, operating, being efficient and productive. And
busy
in all the doing and forward movement, but we've forgotten the parts of us that are more feminine. So that feminine essence of recognizing that we are also cyclical beings as women, that we don't live linearly. I mean, we have a cycle alive within us. Recognizing also that there's a softer, gentler way of doing things that's more feminine. And this heroine's journey is really a journey of bringing the masculine and the feminine energies together so that we can be both, coming from a place of intuition, deep inner wisdom, nurturing ourselves first, being in a space of embodied listening. So listening to our desires and our needs and our creativity, and also bringing that to a place where it's held, by the masculine, where we can then create something from it tangible and do the doing that needs to be done, and really come into that place of reconciliation. So that we're not doing, forward moving, and probably burning out, but we're also not floating and, being in our intuition, but actually not getting anything done. And finding that place of harmony within us as women, I think can be difficult. It's been certainly my journey, and it's taken me a long time. So being guided through that can be quite powerful. And of course, that means we can go through that in, rather than doing that over years, we can do that in a shorter time. So hopefully that gives a little bit of a flavor. I don't know
Mm.
if there's anything you'd add that I have
Look,
overlooked.
just this that we can get so much, and some of us go so much into this love and peace and love and peace and everything and namaste and all of that kind of stuff, and become really very, very watery and airy and floaty and which is unsustainable and unrealistic. Or we can go, for many of us looking after our families, we can go really into hustling, busy, 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 and really pushing and really striving and, neglecting our needs and neglecting that more feminine, intuitive parts of ourselves. And, it can manifest in so many different ways, like focusing on the strategy and being really organized and planning all the time and, following other people's ideas about how you should run your business, even if they don't feel aligned, because, you're focusing on this final goal, like 6 figures or all of that kind of stuff that the internet is so filled with. And finding that middle ground, this balance, the interplay of feminine and masculine, the yin and yang, on your own terms, in a way that is really right for you at this life season that you are at the level of commitments that you have, that your business really supports your life, and not as a great sounding idea, but as an embodied experience, felt experience, lived experience of it. This is what we're talking about. And this is what, this is why we created this retreat, for us to come in and to really listen to ourselves, listen to each other, and create that safe space of holding where we can bring all of that. Because I know it's similar for you, Isabelle, because we had conversations about this, that within our private lives, I can't really talk to my partner about my business because his understanding of it is different. How he would deal with challenges is different. And believe me, I tried it. It really did not work. His very logical approach to just fix it and face it head on. And it's not always the best way. The way that I like to do things, my strengths, how I love working with people, what works for me, what works for my clients, how I approach it, is quite individual and quite personal to me. It comes from the last 30 years of training and working and, supporting others and, my own processes. All of it is here. And for us, this is what's so important, that we hold space for you, but we're not bringing any method for you to follow. But there are certain ways that will make it much easier. And this is what we're going to be sharing with you. And these are, some of the somatic practices, the nervous system understanding, that is start with polyvagal theory, the heroine's journey, balancing the masculine and feminine, including your cyclical wisdom. All of that can really, really help. That then will help you create something really unique that is aligned with your needs, your strengths, your core values, the way that you love working, your vision and what you want to create. And that will allow you to understand, okay, what's the next step? Or what's the next few steps? And what am I aiming for? And what's the most important thing for me?
Yeah. And I think
and I just want to say, I want to attend that retreat as well. I just think there is so much in here that, we both been delivering training online. And I just feel so excited about being able to do it in person, to connect with other women in person and, come for those few days, not just a day and not just few hours, but actually coming for few days together and connecting and exploring and allowing ourselves to drop deep within.
Yeah, absolutely.
You were
And
trying to say something. So.
no, what came to me as you were talking is this real, I think ultimately is when you talked about, it's difficult sometimes to talk about our business with people who perhaps aren't in the same field. And I think it's because from the outside, it's easy to take quite a masculine or logical approach, as you were saying, to the outer work. But what can't be seen is the huge piece of inner work that's required of all of us to be moving forward with our business ideas and to be visible and to take our message and our gifts into the world. That's the bigger piece of work to me. When that piece is, is resourced, when we are able to do the inner work and move through the challenges that we experience, then the outer work, the more masculine piece, is much easier. But again, when we look from the outside in, it's very hard to see all this inner piece that needs to happen. And so, again, if we go back to what we said at the very beginning, there's the visionary and there's the human. And we need to make sure the human is resourced to be able to bring the visionary's vision to life. So and again, that's it. It's that dance and interplay between feminine and masculine, inner and outer, in a very somatic and nervous system-based way.
Yeah. I mean, there is no visionary without the human, is there?
No.
If the human is not resourced,
no,
the visionary can turn into, and we've had examples in the history where visionaries turned into, something very oppressive and something very twisted.
Yeah.
And so that humanity piece, the compassionate piece, the meeting your own needs piece is so important, so important.
And even sort of to bring it home even more, I can say, and you probably have experienced that, and we've seen coaching clients, training clients experience that as well, that when we aren't resourced, the vision becomes blank. We lose touch. It's almost like suddenly the vision disappears and we can't quite grasp it. So we need to be resourced, and to be resourced, we need to pull ourselves away most often from our everyday life, give ourselves spaciousness, take ourselves in a place that's grounding and inspiring, and again, be held in that space without being pushed and pulled, so that we can really from that spaciousness sort of find that vision again and then move forward, because without that resourcefulness and without that embodied listening, all there is aridity. There's just nothing. And we experience that. So there's a word which I'm forgetting now. That's sort of, it's like a desert walk. The valley of death, or I can't remember what the wording is. That's often used for that. But yeah, I think pulling ourselves out, giving ourselves spaciousness, and sort of resetting the vision and really doing it from an embodied place is so powerful. And it's very difficult to do when we are still caught in our everyday life, when we're tending to our children or our partners or our business and the everyday life of paying bills and so on. So
and everything else that is happening in the world as well, of the conflict and the war and the suffering, and we can get very, very crushed by it. Yeah,
totally. And we talked a little bit, we talked for hours in the car yesterday, didn't we? And literally 6 hours of talking, not a moment of silence. But I think we touched a little bit on hope. And as you talking about the state of the world, I think for me, having these moments where I pull away from, the world and my life, they're the moments where I can take a deep breath and come back into a state of hope of, yes, this exists, and I can also find hope, and I can also resource myself, and I can look forward with a sense of, hopefulness and excitement. recognizing that the world isn't an easy place to be, but without those moments of coming up for air and reconnecting with the end, they can coexist. It's, again, we deflate over time until we are completely depleted.
Yeah, so well said. I think this is exactly it, that, taking action from that depleted state is very different than taking action from a resourced, nourished, empowered space. We do take a very different action from those two states. And the more we can kind of come back and resource and connect with others, be seen and visible, the more we can then take action. And the more impact we create, within our lives, within our clients' lives, within the world. Very, very different state. Yeah.
But I'm going to need to stop sort of being inspired by what you're saying. Otherwise, this is going to last for 2 hours. But I think, again, if we think about who we are being and becoming and the impact that we want to have, it makes me almost emotional to think, the world needs that hope. And as a practitioner, again, if we can take these moments to resource and then bring that little bit of enthusiasm, excitement, hope, almost enchantment, back into our families and within our clients, etc. I think that alone is so important. So important. And that doesn't come from the head, it really comes from a deeply felt place. So, yeah.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Yes, and I'm aware that, we don't want to be here for hours, and we could be. I mean, we've proven it yesterday.
Absolutely.
And there is so much richness and so much stuff in here. And thank you for listening. I want to say thank you for listening and watching this video. And all the information is in the flyer, and we created a really lovely flyer. Read through it, have a look. And if you resonate with it, if it feels like it's something that would be really positive for you, transformative for you, if you'd like to experience it and go through that retreat with us, reach out to us. There is an email address. Reach out to us, and we can send you a link to sign up for this retreat, and we will welcome you with open arms and hearts. And let's create. It always starts with little baby steps, with tiny little seeds. Let's plant those little seeds. Let's then spend those few days tending to them, nurturing them, watering them, giving them lots of love. The research shows that when you talk with love to your plants, they're really happy and they grow much better. So let's tend to those seeds and those little plants, and then set the plan of how you can continue nourish them, continue looking after yourself after those little seeds. So you can really make that impact, and you can create the life that is very aligned with what's most important for you.
I have nothing to add. That was beautifully said, and I think the perfect place to come to a close. I would just encourage people to have a look through the flyer. It really describes who the retreat is for, what to expect. You can look at the agenda so that you have a good sense for what you will be living with and what the experience will be. And then any questions, as Anita says, there's an email address there that you can reach out to us on, which perhaps if I can find and mention.
Embodied Feminine Retreats @gmail.com.
Thank you. Wonderful.
And thank you so much, Isabelle, for taking time for us to be able to get here and chat. And thank you so much for watching. And we hope that we will be able to, or have the opportunity to, connect with you in the retreat.
Absolutely.